Okay. Caste among Muslims in India. We're going to examine whether there is caste among Muslims in India, because it raises the question of what happens to caste when religion is changed from Hinduism to other religions, because caste is considered distinctive and unique to Hinduism. But it appears in the Indian context, even if religion is changed, caste is remaining from the data, and we will examine how it is taking place. In the context of Islam, also caste is remaining, though Islam stands for egalitarian society, egalitarianism. By egalitarianism, here we mean all men equal. Men equal before God, but if there are differences, there are differences in terms of righteousness. There are no differences in terms of birth. Okay. So Quran says all are equal, and if there are differences only in terms of righteousness, which means there is no religious sanction to birth-based discrimination, unlike in Hinduism. Okay. So let us take a comparable sloka, or what is there in Quran that is comparable to Rigvedic sloka. It says, "O mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and female and make you into peoples and tribes with each other." So from one, tribes are created, that is, different people are created. Verily, the most honored in the sight of God is the most righteous among you. This is unlike Rigvedic sloka, where different varnas are created from different parts of the same body. So all have come from one source. And who is more honored? The one who is righteous. So Quran does not give any sanction to birth-based discrimination. It is not giving any sanction to group inequalities. Okay, only morality is supposed to be the criteria. Okay. But then how did Muslims in India develop caste system? First point is that just because the scripture says it, it doesn't mean people follow. Scripture gives an ideal. Okay. For example, even in Hinduism, each person is expected to be an aspect of Brahman. I mean, one can interpret it that way. There is caste system. Of course, there are scriptures to justify the caste system. So what a scripture says is not the same thing as what people follow. Okay, but the scripture says right things, it helps. So the fact that the Islam doesn't give justification to the caste system or inequality or birth-based discrimination, that is a good thing about Islam. There is no doubt about it. Okay. But then when Quran evolved or Quran being recited to Prophet Muhammad, the society that he was in was not a complex society. There were groups, but it was a simple society in that sense that complex stratification was not possible in that society. So Islam started in a relatively simple society, but it spread. When it spread to complex societies which had state and which had highly evolved stratification system. So then Islam had to come to terms with stratification. So that's what happened. Okay. So what happened was that Islam entered the societies with complex social stratification. So by the time Islam came to India, it got used to stratification. So it is not that Hinduism taught Muslims the inequality. It was not like that. Muslims who came to India were already familiar with elaborate stratification. Okay. Because they did rule the states with elaborate stratification systems. And what was the basis of the stratification? What was the basis of the discrimination or hierarchy? Locals versus non-locals. The locals were inferior. Okay, let us go through this. Written by Imtiaz Ahmad. Birth as a principle of status honor was considerably important in early Muslim society in India. In the administrative system, the position of status and authority were assigned to members of the families of foreign origin, which had either originally accompanied the invading armies or had descended from the original immigrants. Barney informs us that early Turkish sultans simultaneously contemptuously treated the Muslims of local origin. Iltutmish dismissed 33 persons from government service on account of their low birth. Ahmad gives many such instances. So, which means at a very early stage, the rulers were discriminating in the sense that people of foreign origin were superior and locals were inferior, which means it is birth-based discrimination, even though both of them are Muslims. Okay. But how can locals be Muslims? It is because people in India were converted to Islam. So Islam in India had two sources. People who came from outside as Muslims and castes here converted into Islam. Okay. And which castes got converted? Higher castes and lower castes. And higher castes got better treatment in Islam compared to lower caste. So there are two sources. One is local versus non-local. Non-local was superior and local down. Lower caste versus upper caste. Upper caste up. These two are the basis of caste system among Muslims. Okay. So this is Ashraf Azlaf dichotomy. So Ashraf and Azlaf is the source of hierarchy. Let us see. Ashraf and Azlaf dichotomy has produced. Okay. So this is it. Okay. Ashraf and Azlaf was the main categorization. Among the Bengali Mohammedans, the Ashraf or the upper class include all undoubted descendants of foreign Muslims and converts from the higher caste of Hindus. Higher caste plus foreign. Yes. Like the higher caste Hindus, they consider it degrading to accept menial service or to handle the plow, and they look with contempt upon all other ranks of Bengal Muslims, whom they call Azlaf, coarse rabble. These include functional groups such as weavers, cotton carders, oil pressers, barbers, tailors, as well as converts of originally humble castes. Okay. So higher caste and non-local Ashraf. Lower caste Azlaf. So Ashraf and lower caste Azlaf. Gates says this Ashraf Azlaf distinction corresponds to the Hindu distinction of Dvijas and Sudras. So Ashraf is like Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Azlaf is Sudra. Okay. So this is the upper caste and this. And of course here this plus foreign element. Okay. And Ashraf is divided into four major groups: Said, Sheikh, Mughal, and Pathan. And Azlaf were divided into number of small groups. This is similar to Varna system and under each different castes. Okay. So these four became two. But like there are small groups within each Varna, there are small groups here. Those small groups are endogamous, hierarchically arranged, linked to occupation. So the people from Hinduism who entered Islam continued to follow the social practices which were related to caste. So that seems to have what happened. So this is the broad category, and within that you have caste system. Okay. It says Ashraf Hazilaf dichotomy has produced oversimplified picture of nature of social stratification among Muslims. Social stratification is a complex hierarchical system composed of a large number of social units which are small, named groups of individuals characterized by endogamy, hereditary membership, and a distinct style of life general. So what are they? Nothing but castes. So these two and then the caste groups. Okay. Now the next question is what happens to the people who are outside the Varna system? Okay. These Dalits, untouchables. Did Dalits become part of Azlaf? Dalits did not become part of Azlaf. In fact, they created a third category. Okay. So, untouchables, who are called untouchables among within Hinduism, when they became Muslims, they created another category, and they faced discrimination. So this is about Dalit Muslims. A study of Dalit Muslims by Ashraf Alam finds these forms of untouchability. Refusal by Ashrafs to drink water from the same glass or vessel. Not allowing them to touch the water source and giving them leftovers to eat. Living segregated in separate hamlets. Discriminating in the mosque, in some cases asking them to sit in the last row. So much that to avoid this in some places, Dalit Muslims have built their own mosques. Which means untouchability also did not come down. I mean, it may have come down, but it did not disappear. Okay. So probably you need a comparison between Hinduism, Muslim, and a Dalit. What this studies shows is that when Dalits change the religion, discrimination continues. Discrimination continues. But there are no systematic studies to show that whether the discrimination reduced. So this study shows that discrimination continues. We don't know reduction, and probably there is reduction because after all there is no sanction from the scripture. So maybe that is one thing one has to empirically investigate, because continuation of untouchability is not the same thing as dilution. Okay, it may have been diluted. And of course, one more thing that you see is that when there is no religious sanction, there is no special place for Brahmins. So no. Because Brahmins were deriving their authority from the scriptures. They claimed as mediators between God and people. So when Brahmins change, of course, they are less likely to change. When Brahmins change, they definitely lose all those privileges. But who are connect closer to God in Islam? Some families, some clans claim that they came from Saudi or that side, and those clans are somehow are linked to Prophet Muhammad. Okay, the clans that helped him are close to him. So tracing themselves to be closer to God is there closer to the God is there in Islam, but here it is not God but Prophet Muhammad. So foreign origin, and even within the foreign origin, tracing themselves to something close to the Prophet Muhammad contributes to their status. So there is no religious sanction, no importance to Brahmins, but things work differently in Islam. Okay, so that's one. Okay, coming to Dalits, there it may have been less discrimination, but there is discrimination. Okay, and then next, a study by Ali Anwar in his book Struggle for Equality says about a village in Bhojpur district. Pamarias, who are Dalits, are not allowed to bury their dead in the Pathan's graveyard. See, there is discrimination even after death. He says the only difference was that they had a Hindu name. They refers to various castes. Okay, so a leather worker will have a Hindu name when he is an untouchable, but he will have Muslim name after conversion. We had a Muslim name. As a group, who are called untouchables in Hindu society came to be called Arzal. Arzal in Muslim society. So this is what it is. So 5 became 3. 5 means including Dalits. Dalits there became this, and 4 there became these 2. Minus religious sanction. Okay, but of course, probably there is less discrimination. Those studies have to be made. So, what religion says in its text is not necessarily the same as people's experience, because when people change the religion, the group equations don't really change. Okay. So this is about caste, but let us see how these things worked in post-independence. Post-independence, among Hindus, these castes like Dalits were hugely helped. Reservations. Okay, reservations in legislature and education and jobs and various government programs help in the so-called affirmative action. Whereas Dalits who were converted to Islam did not receive any such state benefit, any such help from the state. So what it meant was there was discrimination, which was tradition, and no state help. So which means Dalits among Muslims, the position deteriorated compared to Dalits among Hindus. Okay. because Muslims did not have a reservation, and if some of them have reservations now, it is only after OBC reservation introduced in 90s. So huge chunk of the underprivileged among Muslims did not receive any state help, because of which there is an uneven development among Hindus and Muslims, because there was no state help. Okay. So state took the position that if you left Hinduism, then you are no longer eligible, you are no longer untouchable. But in actuality, it didn't happen like that. Okay. So what are the political implications? I think the caste in India among Muslims has political implications in terms of things like communalism. See, communalism is about religious identities. We know communalism among Hindus is essentially upper caste phenomena. Casteism among Hindus is getting expressed as communalism. It is upper caste. It is upper caste raise this slogan, that's Hindu unity, Hindu discrimination, and mobilize the lower caste. Whereas caste activists want to focus on not on religion but on the caste. So caste versus religion among Hindus is, in a way, it is not caste versus religion, lower caste versus higher caste. So casteism is getting transformed into communalism. This we know about Hinduism, but do you know that is equally true of Muslim also. There is a stratification, and people raise those who raise the slogan of Islam in danger and want Islamic unity are coming from higher ashrafs. So mobilizing in the name of religion is one way of not paying attention to the stratification within, stratification of, well-being of the lower sections. So when Hindus see Muslims as one, then Muslims behave like Muslims. On the basis of religious identity. But if Hindus understand that the Muslim society is not one, there is caste conflict, there is class conflict, then a different perspective, a different way of integrating Muslims into mainstream or promoting salience of caste or class rather than religion and distancing them from communalism is possible when Muslims are not seen only as Muslims but as diverse groups with problems. So recently Triple Talaq Bill is passed, and the Triple Talaq Bill exposes patriarchy within Islam. Opposition to Triple Talaq Bill exposes patriarchy. So it puts man-woman relationships, woman reform is not attempted because woman is treated as a Muslim rather than a woman. So Triple Talaq Bill is a progressive piece of legislation because Muslim woman is being seen as a woman rather than Muslim. So it's a question of gender justice. So in the similar way, lower caste among Muslims have to be seen as belonging to lower caste, and state should help, which should mean progressive legislation or better representation. So Islam should not be seen as one monolithic entity, and Muslims in India should be approached through identities of caste, class, and gender, and that is one way of dealing with the problem of communalism. Thank you.